Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Our first story is titled, My Girlfriend's Ex Tried to Win Her Back by Spreading Lies About Me. My name's Bob, and this is the story of how my girlfriend's ex tried to sabotage our relationship by spreading vicious lies about me. It's a tale of jealousy, manipulation, and ultimately the power of trust and honesty in a relationship. I met Andrea at a local coffee shop where I was a regular. She had just started working there, and from the moment I saw her, I was smitten. She had this warm smile that could light up a room, and when she laughed, it was like music to my ears. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of indie music and obscure sci-fi novels. After a few weeks of playful banter over the counter, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out. To my delight, she said yes. Our first date was at a quirky little bookstore cafe where we spent hours talking about everything and nothing. It felt like I'd known her my whole life. As we started dating, I learned more about Andrea's past. She'd recently gotten out of a long-term relationship with a guy named Alex. They'd been together for 3 years, but things had fallen apart in the last few months. Andrea didn't go into too much detail, just saying that they'd grown apart and wanted different things in life. Alex was my first serious boyfriend, she told me one night as we cuddled on my couch, watching a terrible B movie. We were great together at first, but towards the end, it felt like we were just going through the motions. I nodded, running my fingers through her hair. That must have been tough. How long ago did you guys break up? Andrea sighed. About 4 months before I met you. It was hard at first, but I knew it was the right decision. We just weren't making each other happy anymore. I appreciated her honesty and didn't push for more details. Everyone has a past, and I was more interested in our future together. For the first few months, everything was perfect. Andrea and I were in that blissful honeymoon phase where everything is new and exciting. We went on adventures around the city, tried new restaurants, and spent lazy Sundays binge watching TV shows. I introduced her to my friends, and she fit right in, charming everyone with her quick wit and kind heart. But as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, or at least face some serious challenges. It started with little things. Andrea would get texts late at night that made her frown. She'd brush it off when I asked, saying it was just work stuff. Then there were the mysterious phone calls she'd step outside to take. I tried not to let it bother me, reminding myself that Andrea was entitled to her privacy. Things came to a head about 6 months into our relationship. We were at a party thrown by some mutual friends when I overheard a conversation that made my blood run cold. "Did you hear about Bob?" a girl I vaguely recognized was saying to her friend. "Apparently, he's been cheating on Andrea left and right. Poor girl has no idea." I froze, my hand halfway to grabbing a beer from the cooler. "What the hell?" The friend gasped. "No way, he seems so nice. Where did you hear that?" "Alex told me," the first girl replied. "You know, Andrea's ex. He said he has proof and everything. Pictures, texts, the whole 9 yards. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Cheating? Me? I never even thought about being unfaithful to Andrea. I loved her more than I ever loved anyone. How could Alex be spreading such blatant lies? I wanted to confront the girls to tell them it was all bullshit, but I knew that would only make things worse. Instead, I grabbed my beer and went to find Andrea. She was chatting with some coworkers in the living room, laughing at something one of them had said. The sight of her smiling face usually filled me with warmth, but now all I felt was dread. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice casual. "Can I talk to you for a sec?" Andrea must have sensed something was off because her smile faltered. "Sure, what's up?" I led her to a quiet corner of the backyard, away from prying eyes and ears. Taking a deep breath, I decided to rip off the Band-Aid. I just overheard something pretty disturbing, I started. Some girls were talking about how Alex is spreading rumors that I'm cheating on you. Andrea's eyes widened in shock. What? That's ridiculous. Why would he do that? I shrugged, feeling a mix of relief at her immediate disbelief and anger at the situation. I don't know. Maybe he's not over you? But Andrea, I need to know that it's not true. I would never cheat on you. Never. She reached out and took my hand, squeezing it reassuringly. Bob, I know. I trust you completely. Alex is just being a jerk. Her words soothed some of my anxiety, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of our troubles. I was right. Over the next few weeks, the rumor spread like wildfire. It seemed like everywhere we went, people were whispering and giving us strange looks. Friends started asking Andrea if she was okay, giving me sidelong glances full of judgment. Even my coworkers seemed to be treating me differently, their usual friendly banter replaced with cool professionalism. Andrea stood by me through it all, repeatedly assuring me that she didn't believe a word of it, but I could see the toll it was taking on her. She was more withdrawn, her usual bubbly personality dimmed by the constant strain of defending our relationship. One night, as we were making dinner together in my small apartment kitchen, Andrea finally broke down. I just don't understand why Alex is doing this, she said, wiping away tears with the back of her hand. We ended things amicably. I thought we could at least be friends. I put down the knife I'd been using to chop vegetables and pulled her into a hug. I don't know, babe. Maybe he's not as over you as he pretended to be. Andrea sniffed against my chest. But why now? It's been almost a year since we broke up. I had a theory, but I hesitated to voice it. Finally, I said, maybe it's because things are getting serious between us. You know, we've been talking about moving in together. Could that have triggered something? Andrea pulled back, her eyes widening with realization. Oh my God, you might be right. Last month, when I went to pick up the last of my stuff from his place, he saw the key you gave me. He made some comment about how fast we were moving, but I didn't think much of it at the time. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but that didn't make the situation any less frustrating. So, what do we do? I asked. We can't just let him keep spreading these lies. Andrea squared her shoulders, a determined look, replacing her tears. We confront him together. I'll text him right now and tell him we need to talk. I nodded, both nervous and relieved at the prospect of finally addressing this head-on. As Andrea tapped out a message on her phone, I couldn't help but wonder how this confrontation would go. Would Alex admit to his lies? Would he try to manipulate Andrea further? And most importantly, would this finally put an end to the rumors that were threatening to tear our lives apart? Little did I know our confrontation with Alex was just the beginning of a twisted game that would test the strength of our relationship and push us to our limits. The next day, Andrea and I met Alex at a neutral location, a small park near downtown. As we approached the bench where he was sitting, I felt a mix of anger and anxiety bubbling up inside me. This was the guy who had been trying to ruin my life for the past few weeks, and it took every ounce of self-control not to confront him aggressively. Alex stood up as we neared, his expression a carefully crafted mask of concern. He was tall and conventionally handsome, with perfectly styled hair and designer clothes. I could see why Andrea had been attracted to him, but right now all I saw was a manipulative jerk. Andrea, he said warmly, completely ignoring me, I'm so glad you reached out. I've been worried about you. Andrea's grip on my hand tightened. Cut the crap, Alex. We know what you've been doing, spreading lies about Bob cheating on me. It needs to stop. Alex's face morphed into a picture of innocence. Lies, Andrea? I'm only looking out for you. I have proof that your boyfriend isn't who you think he is. I couldn't hold back any longer. Proof? What proof? You're making this all up, and you know it. Alex turned to me, his eyes cold. Stay out of this, Bob. This is between me and Andrea. Like hell it is, I shot back. You've been trying to ruin my reputation and my relationship. I have every right to be part of this conversation. Andrea stepped between us, her voice firm. Both of you calm down. Alex, show me this so-called proof you have. The smug smile, Alex pulled out his phone and started scrolling through it. I didn't want to have to do this, Andrea, but you leave me no choice. I care about you too much to let you be fooled by this guy. He held out the phone, showing a series of text messages. From a distance, they looked like flirty exchanges complete with heart emojis and suggestive language. The contact name at the top read Bob. Andrea took the phone, her brow furrowed as she read through the messages. My heart was pounding. I knew I hadn't sent those texts, but how could I prove it? This is ridiculous, I said, peering over Andrea's shoulder at the phone. I've never seen these messages before in my life. Alex, did you seriously fake text messages? Alex coughed. Fake? These are screenshots from a girl who reached out to me, worried about you, Andrea. She didn't want to come forward herself because she was afraid of how Bob might react. I could feel the situation spiraling out of control. This is insane, Andrea. You know I would never do this to you. He's manipulating you. Andrea looked up from the phone, her expression unreadable. For a terrifying moment, I thought she might actually believe Alex's lies, but then she handed the phone back to him and said, Nice try, Alex, but I'm not buying it. Both Alex and I stared at her in surprise. What do you mean? Alex sputtered. The proof is right there. Andrea crossed her arms, fixing Alex with a steely glare. First of all, that's not Bob's number. I know his number by heart. And that's not it. Second, Bob doesn't use emojis, like ever. It's a running joke between us how emoji illiterate he is. I couldn't help but laugh, relief washing over me. It's true, I'm a words guy, not a tiny pictures guy. Alex's face had gone pale, but the girl who sent these to me probably doesn't exist, Andrea finished for him. God, Alex, I can't believe you would stoop this low. What were you thinking? The mask of innocence had completely fallen away now, replaced by a mix of anger and desperation. I was thinking that you're making a huge mistake, Alex burst out. We were perfect together, Andrea. This guy, he gestured dismissively at me, he can't give you what I can. I have a great job, a nice car, a future. What does he have? A crappy apartment and a job at a bookstore? I bristled at his words, but Andrea spoke before I could. What Bob has is kindness, respect, and genuine love for me, not this manipulative bullshit you're trying to pull. We're done here, Alex. Don't contact me again, and if I hear you've been spreading any more lies about Bob, I won't hesitate to take legal action. With that, Andrea turned off her heel and started walking away. I gave Alex one last look, seeing the defeat in his eyes, before following her. As we walked back to my car, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I can't believe he went all that trouble to fake text messages, I said, shaking my head in disbelief. Andrea sighed. I can. Alex always had to be in control. When we were together, he constantly tried to shape me into his idea of the perfect girlfriend. I think that's why seeing me happy with you drove him crazy. He couldn't stand the idea that I might prefer someone so different from him. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. Well, I, for one, am glad you prefer this emoji-illiterate bookstore employee. She laughed, the sound chasing away the last of the tension from our confrontation. Always and forever, babe. We thought that would be the end of it. Alex had been exposed, his lies debunked. Surely now he would give up and leave us alone, but we had underestimated just how far he was willing to go to try and win Andrea back. A few days after our confrontation in the park, I was at work restocking shelves in the quiet afternoon lull when my phone started blowing up with notifications. Confused, I pulled it out of my pocket to find a barrage of messages from friends and even some numbers I didn't recognize. My heart racing, I opened my social media apps to find that someone had posted a series of photoshopped images seemingly showing me in compromising positions with various women. The captions accused me of being a serial cheater and manipulator. I felt sick to my stomach. These photos were obviously fake. I could see the sloppy editing even on my small phone screen. But to someone who didn't know me well, they might be convincing, and the sheer number of them was overwhelming. With shaking hands, I called Andrea. She picked up on the second ring. "Bob, what's wrong? You sound upset." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Andrea, I need you to look at my social media profiles. Someone's posted a bunch of fake photos trying to make it look like I've been cheating on you." There was a pause, and I could hear the sound of her typing, then a sharp intake of breath. "Oh my God, Bob, these are horrible, but they're so obviously fake. Is this Alex again?" "I don't know for sure, but who else would go to these lengths?" I ran a hand through my hair, frustration and anger building. "What do we do now? These things are spreading like wildfire." Andrea's voice was calm, a stark contrast to my growing panic. "First, we report all these posts for fake and harmful content. Then we make our own post, calling out the lies and explaining the situation. And Bob, yeah, we're going to the police. This is harassment, plain and simple. We have proof that Alex has been spreading lies about you. And now it's time we take legal action." Her words helped ground me, giving me a plan to focus on instead of spiraling into anxiety. "You're right. This has gone too far. I'll ask my boss if I can leave early and we'll go to the police station together." "Good idea. I'll meet you there. And Bob, I love you. We'll get through this together." Those 3 words, so simple yet so powerful, helped calm the storm of emotions inside me. "I love you too. See you soon." As I hung up and went to talk to my boss, I couldn't help but wonder how this situation had escalated so quickly. What had started as petty rumors had turned into full-blown digital harassment. I was angry, scared, and worried about what Alex might do next. But underneath it all, I felt a sense of determination. Andrea and I were in this together, and we weren't going to let Alex's lies tear us apart. Our visit to the police station was both enlightening and empowering. The officers took our statements seriously, documenting every detail of Alex's harassment campaign. They were particularly interested in the progression from verbal rumors to the creation and distribution of fake images, recognizing it as a clear escalation in behavior. To our surprise, the detective assigned to our case revealed that Alex was already known to them. Apparently, we weren't the first victims of his manipulative tactics. There had been complaints from other ex-girlfriends and their partners, although none had pursued legal action as far as we had. This information strengthened our resolve. We weren't just fighting for ourselves anymore, but potentially for all of Alex's past and future victims. The detective assured us they would investigate thoroughly, starting with a forensic analysis of the fake images to trace their origin. As we left the police station, Andrea and I felt a mix of relief and determination. We had taken a significant step towards reclaiming our lives and putting an end to Alex's machinations. However, we knew the road ahead might still be challenging. Over the next few weeks, we worked closely with the police, providing any additional evidence they requested. We also took proactive steps to protect ourselves, documenting every instance of harassment and strengthening our online security. Our friends and family rallied around us, offering support and helping to counter the false narratives Alex had spread. Many who had initially believed the lies came forward to apologize, having seen through Alex's deceit. The turning point came about a month after our police report. The forensic analysis had definitely linked the fake images to Alex's computer. Armed with this evidence and the pattern of harassment, the police were able to build a solid case against him. Alex was arrested and charged with harassment, defamation, and creating and distributing false and damaging content. The news spread quickly, vindicating Andrea and me in the eyes of those who might have still harbored doubts. In the aftermath of Alex's arrest, Andrea and I found our relationship stronger than ever. We had weathered a storm that could have torn many couples apart, emerging more united and committed to each other. The trust and communication we had cultivated throughout this ordeal became the bedrock of our future together. As for Alex, he faced the consequences of his actions. The legal process was lengthy, but ultimately he was convicted. The court mandated therapy and community service, along with a restraining order that would keep him far from Andrea and me. In the months that followed, life gradually returned to normal. The whispers and sidelong glances faded away, replaced by genuine smiles and warm greetings. Andrea and I moved in together, turning my crappy apartment, as Alex has so charmingly put it, into a cozy home filled with love and laughter. We often reflected on the ordeal we had been through, marveling at how we had emerged stronger. It had taught us valuable lessons about trust, communication, and the importance of standing together in the face of adversity. As we looked to the future, we felt grateful for the love we shared and the support system we had built. Alex's attempt to tear us apart had failed spectacularly, serving only to reinforce the bond between us. We were ready to write the next chapter of our lives together, secure in the knowledge that we could face any challenge as long as we had each other. In the end, the lies that were meant to destroy us became the catalyst for a deeper, more resilient love. Our story wasn't just about overcoming a jealous ex's schemes. It was a testament to the power of truth, trust, and unwavering commitment in a relationship. And as we moved forward, we carried with us the strength and wisdom gained from this experience, ready to face whatever life might throw our way, hand in hand. Here are my thoughts about the story. First off, can we talk about Alex for a hot second? This dude is like the final boss of toxic exes. I mean, faking text messages? That's amateur hour. But then he goes full psycho with Photoshop pictures. I was half expecting him to show up at Bob's workplace with a mariachi band playing "You Lost That Love and Feeling" or something. But nope, he went straight for the jugular. And Bob and Andrea, these two are relationship goals for real. The way they stuck together through all this mess, that's the kind of ride or die love you usually only see in movies. I was legit worried for a hot minute when those fake photos dropped. You know how the internet can be? One whiff of a scandal and suddenly everyone's an expert on your life. But these two, they didn't even flinch. They were like, nah, we're good. Nice try though. But let's be real for a second. This story hit different because it's not just some far-fetched fiction. This crap happens in real life and it's scary as hell. We've all seen those stories about cyberbullying and revenge porn and all that nastiness. It's easy to sit back and think, oh, that would never happen to me. But this story, it shows how quickly things can spiral out of control. What really got me, though, was how Bob and Andrea handled it all. They didn't just curl up in a ball and hope it would go all away. They took action. They went to the cops. They gathered evidence. They fought back, and that's the big deal, you know? It's easy to feel powerless when you're being harassed, especially online. But these two were like, nope, not today, Satan. And can we give a round of applause for the police in this story? You know, we hear a lot of bad stuff about cops these days, but these officers were on it. They took Bob and Andrea seriously. They did their homework and they nailed that creep to the wall. It's nice to see a story where the system actually works for the good guys for once. Now, I gotta admit, there's a part of me that was kind of hoping for a big showdown at the end. You know, Alex shows up at their place for one last desperate attempt, and Bob's gotta throw down to defend Andrea's honor or something. But you know what? I'm glad it didn't go that way because the way it ended with Bob and Andrea just living their best lives while Alex faces the music. That's the real victory right there. And now, guys, we will move on to the second story of the video. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it so far. The story starts like this. My girlfriend's toxic best friend tried to break us up for jealousy. This is the story of how my girlfriend Alexis' supposed best friend, Amy, nearly tore us apart out of sheer jealousy. Alexa and I met during our junior year of college. We hit it off instantly in our shared literature class, bonding over our love for classic novels and terrible puns. It was brilliant, witty, and drop-dead gorgeous. I still pinch myself sometimes, wondering how I got so lucky. After a few coffee dates and study sessions, we officially became a couple, and things were perfect for a while. Enter Amy, Alexa's best friend since elementary school. I'd heard plenty about her from Alexa, mostly fond childhood memories and stories of their unbreakable bond. So when Amy transferred to our college at the start of our senior year, I was genuinely excited to meet her. When Alexa was happy, I was happy, and she couldn't have been happier. It was a time of anticipation for the both of us. Boy, was I in for a rude awakening. The first time we met was at a welcome back party for Amy. Alexa was buzzing with excitement as we walked into the crowded bar. There she is, Alexa squealed, dragging me toward a tall brunette by the bar. Amy, over here. Amy turned, her face lighting up as she spotted Alexa. The two embraced tightly, squealing and jumping like they hadn't seen each other in years rather than just a few months. When they finally separated, Alexa turned to me, beaming, Amy, this is Jordan, my boyfriend. Jordan, this is Amy, my bestie since forever. I extended my hand with a friendly smile. It's great to finally meet you, Amy. I've heard so much about you. Amy's eyes flickered over me, her smile faltering for just a second before returning full force. She ignored my outstretched hand and went in for a hug instead. Oh, we're huggers in this friend group, Jordan, she said, her voice sickly sweet. As she embraced me, she whispered in my ear, hurt her and I'll make your life hell. She pulled back, still smiling, leaving me stunned. Alexa, oblivious to the exchange, was already chattering away about how amazing it was that we were all together. That night set the tone for the next few months. On the surface, Amy was friendly and welcoming, but there was always an undercurrent of hostility when Alexa wasn't looking. She'd make backhanded compliments about my major, English literature compared to their pre-med track, or jokingly question how I'd support Alexa on a writer's salary. I tried to brush it off first. Maybe she was just protective of her friend. But as time went on, Amy's tactics became more obvious and more effective. It started with little things. She'd constantly remind Alexa of inside jokes and shared memories, clearly trying to make me feel like I'm an outsider. She'd plan spontaneous girls' nights that always seemed to coincide with dates Alexa and I had planned. Then came the more serious sabotage attempts. One night, about 6 months into our relationship, Alexa and I had planned a romantic dinner to celebrate her acing a tough exam. As we were getting ready to leave, Alexa's phone buzzed with a text from Amy. Oh no, Alexa said, her face falling. Amy's really upset. She just found out her dad's in the hospital. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. She really needs me right now, Jordan, Alexa said, her eyes bleeding. I'm so sorry, but can we reschedule? I promise I'll make it up to you. I wanted to argue to point out that this was the third time our plans had been derailed by one of Amy's emergencies, but seeing the genuine concern on Alexa's face, I couldn't bring myself to make her choose. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. Go be with your friend. We can celebrate another time. Alexa kissed me gratefully before rushing out. I tried not to feel resentful as I canceled our dinner reservation, because surely that was the worst of it. The next day, I overheard Alexa on the phone with Amy. I'm so glad your dad's okay, Alexa was saying. Just a false alarm, huh? That must have been so scary. I felt a surge of suspicion. A false alarm that just happened to coincide with our date night? It seemed too convenient. I thought I might have been paranoid at first, but the thought never left my mind after that, and rightfully so, because things really came to a head a few weeks later. Alexa and I were at a party having a great time when Amy showed up. She made a beeline for us, stumbling slightly. Soph, she slurred, throwing an arm around Alexa. I'm so glad you're here. I need to talk to you alone. Alexa shot me an apologetic look as Amy dragged her away. I tried to mingle with other friends, but I couldn't shake my unease. After about an hour, I went looking for Alexa. I found him in a quiet corner of the backyard. Amy was crying, and Alexa looked upset. As I approached, I caught the tail end of their conversation. I just don't want to see you get hurt, Amy was saying. You deserve so much better. What's going on? I asked, my stomach twisting. Alexa turned to me, her expression a mix of anger and confusion. Jordan, did you hit on Amy's sister last week at the coffee shop? I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What? No, I've never even met Amy's sister. Amy stood up, swaying slightly. Don't lie, Jordan. My sister told me everything. How you were flirting with her, how you said you and Alexa were on a break. That's insane, I protested. Alexa, you know I would never do that. I love you. Alexa looked torn, glancing between me and Amy. I don't know what to think. Amy pressed on, crocodile tears streaming down her face. I didn't want to say anything, Soph, but I can't keep quiet anymore. This isn't the time. Remember when he canceled on you last month because he was sick? I saw him at the movies with another girl. My head was spinning. That's a lie, Alexa. Come on, you know me. You know I would never cheat on you. But I could see the doubt creeping into Alexa's eyes. Amy had planted the seed, and it was growing fast. I think I need some time to process this, Alexa said quietly. I'm going to go home alone. As she walked away, Amy shot me a triumphant look. At that moment, I realized this had been her plan all along. She'd finally found a way to drive a wedge between us, and it was working. The next week was hell. Alexa wasn't answering my calls or texts. I was a wreck, oscillating between anger at Amy's lies and fear that I was losing the love of my life over something I hadn't even done. Finally, after 7 agonizing days, Alexa agreed to meet me at our favorite coffee shop. She looked as bad as I felt, with dark circles under her eyes and a weary expression. Alexa, please, I began as soon as she sat down. You have to believe me. I never cheated on you. I would never even think about it. She held up a hand, stopping me. I know, Jordan. I believe you. I blinked, taken aback. You do? Alexa nodded, a small smile playing at her lips. It took me a while to see through the fog of doubt, but once I did, things became clear. Amy's story didn't add up. For me, she doesn't even have a sister in town. Relief washed over me, quickly followed by confusion. Wait, what? But why would she lie like that? Alexa sighed, running a hand through her hair. I've been doing a lot of thinking this past week about Amy, about us, about all the little things that never quite made sense, and I realized Amy's been trying to sabotage our relationship from the start. As Alexa spoke, she laid out all the evidence, the constant interruptions, the fabricated emergencies, the subtle digs at me when she thought Alexa wasn't listening. It all painted a clear picture of jealousy and manipulation. "I'm so sorry, Jordan," Alexa said, reaching across the table to take my hand. "I should have seen it sooner. I let her come between us, and I almost lost you because of it." I squeezed her hand, feeling like a weight had been lifted off my chest. "It's not your fault. Amy's been your friend for years. It's natural that you'd want to trust her." Alexa nodded, her expression hardening. "Well, that ends now. I'm done letting her toxic behavior affect our relationship. I think it's time we confront her together." I agreed, and we made plans to meet Amy the next day. As we left the coffee shop hand in hand, I felt a mix of nervousness and determination. I knew the confrontation with Amy wouldn't be pretty, but it was necessary if Alexa and I wanted to move forward. As we prepared to confront Amy, Alexa and I spent hours discussing how to approach the situation. We wanted to be firm but fair, to give Amy a chance to explain herself while making it clear that her manipulative behavior wouldn't be tolerated anymore. The next day, we met Amy at a quiet park near campus. She arrived with a big smile, oblivious to the storm that was about to break. "Soph, Jordan," she called out, waving as she approached our bench. "What's the big emergency? Your text sounded serious." Alexa took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Amy, we need to talk about your behavior lately." Amy's smile faltered. "What do you mean?" I decided to jump in, keeping my voice calm but firm. "We know what you've been doing, Amy. The lies, the manipulation, trying to break us up. It stops now." For a moment, Amy looked genuinely shocked. Then her expression hardened. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said coldly. "I've only ever looked out for Alexa's best interest." Alexa shook her head. "No, Amy, you've been looking out for your own interests, making up emergencies to ruin our dates, lying about Jordan cheating. Why? Why would you do this?" Amy's facade cracked, her eyes filling with tears. "Because he's taking you away from me," she burst out. "We were supposed to do everything together. Soph, college, med school, residency. But ever since Jordan came along, it's like I don't even exist anymore." I felt a pang of sympathy. Despite everything, Amy's actions were inexcusable, but I could understand the fear of losing a close friend. Alexa's voice was gentle but firm when she spoke. "Amy, you're my best friend. That hasn't changed, but Jordan is my partner, and he's a huge part of my life now. There's room for both of you, but not if you keep trying to sabotage my relationship." Amy wiped at her eyes, looking defeated. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I got scared. I don't want to lose you." "You don't have to," I said, surprising myself. "But things need to change. No more lies, no more manipulation." Alexa nodded in agreement. "We're willing to start fresh if you are, Amy. But this is your last chance. If you try to come between us again, that's it." Amy looked between us, seeming to realize the gravity of the situation. She nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll do better, I promise." As we left the park that day, I felt cautiously optimistic. Maybe, just maybe, we could all move forward from this. But life is rarely that simple. For a few weeks, things seemed to improve. Amy was on her best behavior, making an effort to include me in group activities and respecting our boundaries. Alexa and I were stronger than ever, our bond reinforced by the challenges we'd overcome together. Then came the night of Alexa's 22nd birthday party. We had planned a big celebration at our favorite bar, inviting all our college friends. The night was going great. Music pumping, drinks flowing, everyone in high spirits. Alexa was radiant, laughing and dancing with our friends. I was at the bar getting another round of drinks when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned to find Amy, looking unsteady on her feet. "Hey, Jordan," she slurred, leaning in close. "Can we talk for a sec in private?" Warning bells went off in my head, but I didn't want to cause a scene at Alexa's party. "Sure, Amy, let's step outside for a minute." As soon as we were in the alley behind the bar, Amy's demeanor changed. She pushed me against the wall, her face inches from mine. "You don't deserve her, you know," she hissed. "Alexa's brilliant, beautiful, destined for greatness. And what are you, a wannabe writer who'll probably end up teaching high school English?" I tried to push her away gently. "Amy, you're drunk. Let's go back inside." But before I could finish, Amy grabbed my face and kissed me hard. I froze in shock for a split second before pushing her away more forcefully. "What the hell, Amy?" I shouted, wiping my mouth in disgust. Amy wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were fixed on something behind me, a triumphant smile on her face. With a sinking feeling, I turned around. Alexa stood in the doorway, her eyes wide with hurt and betrayal. "Alexa, it's not what it looks like," I started, but she was already running back into the bar. I turned back to Amy, fury coursing through me. "What is wrong with you? I thought you were trying to change." Amy just shrugged, the alcohol making her brazen. "I tried it your way. Didn't work for me. Now Alexa will see you for who you really are." I left her there in the alley, rushing back into the bar to find Alexa. But she was gone, along with her purse and jacket. Our friends looked confused, asking what had happened. I spent the next few hours calling and texting Alexa desperately, trying to explain. But she wasn't answering. I went to her apartment, but her roommate said she wasn't there. It wasn't until the next afternoon that I finally got a text from Alexa. "Meet me at our spot. We need to talk." Our spot was a quiet corner of the campus gardens where we'd had our first kiss. When I arrived, Alexa was already there, sitting on our usual bench. She looked tired, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "Alexa, please," I began as I sat down. "What you saw last night, it wasn't what it looked like. Amy kissed me." I pushed her away immediately. Alexa held up a hand, stopping me. "I know, Jordan. I saw the whole thing." I blinked in confusion. You did?" She nodded, a small, sad smile on her face. "I followed you out when I saw Amy dragging you away. I watched her kiss you and I saw you push her off. I'm so sorry I ran off like that. I was just shocked and hurt. Not by you, but by Amy." Relief washed over me, quickly followed by concern for Alexa. "Oh, Soph, I'm so sorry. This is such a mess." Alexa took a deep breath. "It is, but it's also clear now. Amy's never going to change, Jordan. She's never going to accept us being together." I nodded slowly, realizing what this meant. "So, what do we do now?" "I've made a decision," Alexa said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "I'm cutting Amy out of my life, completely. I can't keep someone so toxic around, even if we have history." I took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Are you sure? I know how much she means to you." Alexa squeezed back. "I'm sure. You're my future, Jordan. I'm not letting anyone jeopardize that, not even my oldest friend." We sat there in silence for a while, processing the weight of this decision. Finally, I spoke up. "So, what now? Do we confront Amy again?" Alexa shook her head. "No, I've already sent her a message explaining my decision. I've blocked her number and on all social media. It's done." I pulled Alexa into a hug, feeling her tears soak into my shirt. "I'm so sorry it came to this. I know how much it must hurt." She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "It does hurt, but I also feel lighter, like I can finally breathe without worrying about her next scheme." As we left the garden that day hand in hand, I felt a mix of sadness and hope. We had lost a friend, but our relationship had emerged stronger than ever. We had faced Amy's jealousy and manipulation head on and come out the other side, more committed to each other than before. In the weeks and months that followed, there were moments of difficulty. Alexa sometimes struggled with guilt over ending such a long friendship. There were awkward encounters with mutual friends who didn't understand the full story. But through it all, we stood united. We graduated college, moved in together, and started building our future. Alexa got into med school and I landed a job at a small publishing house. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, free from toxic influences and filled with love and mutual support. Looking back now, I realize that Amy's jealousy, as painful as it was to deal with, ultimately strengthened our relationship. It forced us to communicate better, to trust each other implicitly, and to prioritize our bond above all else. So, to Amy, wherever she is now, I guess I owe a twisted kind of thanks. Trying to break us apart, she only brought us closer together. Alexa and I are stronger for having weathered that storm, and we're facing our future hand in hand, more in love than ever. Here are my thoughts about this story. First off, can we talk about Amy for a hot second? This chick is like a master class in toxic friendship. I mean, who hasn't had that one friend who gets a little jealous when you start dating someone new? But Amy takes it to a whole new level of crazy. She's out there playing games with people's emotions, and I'm both impressed and terrified. That kiss at the end was the poison that killed me, because what the hell? Who does that? The way she manipulated situations had me yelling at my screen like I was watching a horror movie. Don't fall for it, Alexa. She's lying. A real sociopathic documentary, except the sociopath in question kind of sucked at making things up. I mean, your sister wasn't even in town. You couldn't have come up with a better story? That I'm condoning or encouraging this at all? Of course not. But come on, you can't be crazy and stupid together. Pick a struggle and stick with it. But let's give some props to our man Jordan. This dude's patient deserves a Nobel Peace Prize or something. If I had someone constantly trying to sabotage my relationship, I'd have lost my cool way sooner. Jordan's over here playing the long game, trying to be understanding, even when Amy's throwing every trick in the book at him. Respect, my dude. And Alexa, oh man, talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. I felt for her, I really did, having to choose between your boyfriend and your best friend since forever. Amy was clearly in the wrong in this situation, but for many people out there, it isn't as clear-cut. Sometimes in life, you have to choose, and making that kind of choice can be devastating for anyone. The part that really got me, though, was the confrontation in the park. You could cut the tension with a knife. When Amy finally broke down and admitted she was scared of losing Alexa, I actually felt a twinge of sympathy. Don't get me wrong, her actions were still totally messed up, but fear of losing your best friend? That's relatable as hell. Still, doesn't excuse what she did, but it did offer an explanation behind why she did what she did. The road to hell is often paved with good intention, folks. Just when I thought we were heading for a happy ending, nope. Amy didn't just blindside the main couple, she also blindsided all of us reading this. Birthday party kiss ambush? The way Jordan and Alexa handled that final betrayal, though. Chef's kiss. That's real relationship goals right there. Communication, trust, and choosing each other over toxic influences. Take notes, folks. Now, I gotta admit, part of me was kind of hoping for one last confrontation with Amy. You know, a final showdown where they tell her off and she has some big dramatic reaction. But the more I think about it, the more I respect Alexa's decision to just cut her off completely. Sometimes the best closure is no closure at all. What really stuck with me after finishing this story was how real it felt. We've all had that friend who couldn't handle us growing up or moving on. Maybe not to Amy's level of psycho, but still. And navigating relationships in college, that's a minefield on a good day. I think what Jordan and Alexa went through is something a lot of us can relate to. Learning to prioritize your relationship, dealing with outside pressures, figuring out which friendships are worth keeping. That's some real adulting right there. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.